Hello, this is another one of my handy dandy tech tips for the ATE T50 brake booster, and I sure hope you guys appreciate the fact there's no advertising on my tech tips. I've been asked by YouTube to monetize them, but I just don't think that's right. Anyway, I'm going to discuss the large vacuum diaphragm inside the booster. But first, let's discuss the booster faceplate and how the booster fails, and then in turn the diaphragm is going to fail. We're looking down inside the faceplate. This is at the top here is where the slave cylinder would screw in to position, and then down inside here you've got a series of O-rings and seals and rubber scraper type of gasket seals that will separate the vacuum from the hydraulic. On this side we have hydraulic, and on the back side here the last line of defense happens to be a seal that fits inside here. Now then, in order to help you a little bit, most boosters, but not all, have a weep hole right here, and that weep hole goes into the area right before the final seal. See if we can get some. See if you can see down inside there. And that's a little too bright. Anyway, take my word for it. This weep hole goes all the way inside here and comes out right down in here. Right down inside there, but it's in front of the final vacuum seal right here. So what happens is all those seals fail for a variety of reasons: age, not changing your brake fluid, life in the big city. Those fail, and what happens is you have your booster assembled like this. And you've got you got your faceplate here, you got your vacuum chamber right here. So what happens is this vacuum chamber, one side is atmospheric, one side is vacuum. This is the side that has vacuum on it because this is where your vacuum check valve goes. And your diaphragm is sitting inside here, and on the other side is vacuum, which goes out to the atmosphere, and that's what gives you your PSI, that what is it, 21 inches of pressure, atmospheric pressure. Well, that's what gives you the ability to have a brake booster, because when it pulls a vacuum here, the atmospheric activates the diaphragm and pushes it forward and pushes brake fluid through your system. Now then, what you have here is your vacuum going to the engine, and so you're always pulling a vacuum down here, and what that means is if these seals inside here leak, vacuum pulls brake fluid into this canister right here, and it goes in, and if you ever have a mysterious loss of brake fluid, just don't keep putting brake fluid in your brake fluid reservoir. Find out where the brake fluid's going, because there's a real good possibility it's going into the vacuum chamber. And what will happen is if you get enough in here, it's going to come out of the vacuum check valve, get pulled into the engine, and it produces white smoke coming out the tailpipe of the car. But before that happens, before you get the white smoke out the tailpipe of the car, you've got brake fluid in here that is contaminating and ruining the large vacuum diaphragm that sits inside this tin can. And what's happening is this brake fluid is getting on and into the rubber. Now, for some reason, the Germans did not make rubber that was brake fluid proof. It's great for vacuum, but it's not brake fluid proof. It's resistant, which means it can sit in brake fluid for a while and it won't hurt it. But if it sits in it long enough, this rubber actually absorbs brake fluid. And this is a diaphragm that I've just taken out of a booster a couple days ago, and I cleaned it. And as it sat there, brake fluid has leached out of the rubber. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but what I'm going to do is wipe away a section of it. And you can see the glistening is gone. Now we just have rubber, and over here you can see the little droplets of brake fluid. And that is very detrimental because this diaphragm is supposed to be lubricated inside the vacuum chamber, and it's permanent lubricant. And when you get this brake fluid in there, which, as we all know, will eat anything and everything, that permanent lube is dissolved, and you got nothing to lube the rubber, and you've got the beginning of problems. And what happens as the brake fluid gets into the rubber, it helps collapse the rubber, the lips on your seal right there. I'm trying to get in profile, and maybe you can see what we're looking at is this lip right here. This lip is supposed to splay out to catch the inside of the vacuum can, and right there, let's get a neutral background. Right there, it doesn't look so good. It splays out a little bit there. So what happens is your lips do not contact the inside of the can, and you lose vacuum. Now then, sometimes you can salvage these things. If it hasn't been sitting in brake fluid too long, you can salvage these things. You clean them multiple times using alcohol, denatured alcohol like you get from the drugstore, and just wash it down. I use a toothbrush to clean the permanent grease out of here and any corrosion, and wash it all down with alcohol, and then dry it off. Do not submerge this diaphragm and leave it. Clean it and pull it out and dry it, all within like 2, 3, 4 minutes. Now then, what happens when your lips collapse? Sometimes you can bring them back. What I have done is I've got a sacrificial diaphragm right here that I push into the potentially salvageable diaphragm, and what I'm doing is I'm artificially splaying out the lips right here, artificially forcing those lips out, so that once this is clean and once these lips have been splayed out, I leave it there for several days, as long as possible, and there's a very good possibility that when this sacrificial diaphragm comes out, that these lips will stay splayed out. Excuse me. Let's try this. Let's see what we can see. Let's pull this apart. Sorry for the finger thing. Okay. So what we're looking for are the lips to be splayed out. And I think you can see it. It's not much. It doesn't take much. You see how that lip is splayed out? And the test, which I have on another video, but the test, of course, is to take it and put it in the diaphragm, and you can see how much bigger the lips are than the diaphragm. See them sticking out? How the lips of the diaphragm are bigger than the can. See them sticking out? So, there's a good possibility you can salvage that. If not, we have to buy a new diaphragm, and that's not much you can do about it. Anyway, so the important things to remember, if you're losing brake fluid mysteriously, find out where it's going. It could be going into the booster. If you find that it is going into the booster, get the brake fluid out of there as soon as you can, and then get the booster rebuilt. And that should help you a whole bunch and save any aggravation, because these things are very expensive. These diaphragms are now almost $300, and we hope they keep reproducing them overseas, but how long they'll keep doing that, I don't know. So you need to take care of what you got. I hope this helps. Good luck. Oh, and if you have any questions, obviously contact me.